On a cold, dark night in the UK, a small Japanese man is about to attempt the unthinkable. An infamous member of a secretive street racing club starts spinning the tires as he prepares his car for a top-speed attack on one of the UK roads. But this wasn't just any road. It's a public highway, where the rules are strict and the risk is as high as the stakes. At 197 miles per hour, his engine was about to explode, yet he couldn't stop. Something deeper is driving him, something secret. He's pushing the car and himself to the absolute limit. Then, out of nowhere, flashing lights appear in his rear-view mirror. The police. That night, he got arrested immediately.
You speak English?
No, I speak Japanese.
Do you think this is a bloody playground?
But the next morning, the news spread like wildfire. His audacious attempt became an international sensation. But behind the headlines, there were many questions needed answers. Why would such a man risk everything for such an attempt? And why the UK specifically, where the laws were harsher than anywhere else? And who was the secret network behind his daring attempt? This is the secretive story behind the most important Japanese speed hunter, Kazuhiko Smokey Nagata. It's 1995, a year that would forever change the underground world of street racing. It's this year that the Tokyo Midnight Club is mentioned outside of Japan for the first time. A super secretive street racing clan that prowled the highways of Japan after sundown. In the early days, this secretive group was composed of just 30 devoted members who met under the cover of darkness, always at midnight in a designated location. Among the various meeting points was a service area in Yokohama, the Daikoku parking area, a spot that is still famous today for its frequent late-night gatherings of sports car enthusiasts. Following a series of high-speed runs, the Midnight Club quickly became unbeatable, especially on the Wangan, a long straight highway that ran along the Tokyo Bay. This made the club super famous as their reputation for speed made them legends, and soon, every car enthusiast in Japan dreamed of joining their ranks. But becoming one of them wasn't that easy since there was a very strict protocol and rules to join. The club's standards were relentless. To even be considered, your car had to consistently hit a minimum speed of 160 miles per hour and couldn't afford to lose against any rival club's car. Only the fastest and most skilled drivers were welcomed, setting the bar incredibly high for anyone daring to join. This strict protocol allows only 10% of those who tried to earn the right to call themselves a member. The Midnight Club was a sort of fight club for cars, with precise and severe rules. The drivers didn't reveal their name and profession to anyone, since according to the club rules, members could not ask each other where they got the money for their preparations. No one asked questions about who they were outside the car. It didn't matter if you were rich, poor, a businessman, or a mechanic. What mattered was the car, the speed, and the trust that came from silence. In the world of the Midnight Club, those secrets were left behind when you strapped in. All that counted was the moment you hit the throttle, and everything else disappeared into the night. Among the members of the Midnight Club, there were in fact some of the best tuners in Japan, stuff like Ab Flug, R.E. Amamiya, and Top Secret. The extreme level of tuning each car underwent set the club apart. Almost all of the members' cars had at least 500 to 600 horsepower, with some pushing even further to dominate the highways. One member of the club is said to have spent 180 million yen of the time, equivalent to over 1.5 million euros today, on modifications and preparations on his Porsche 911. Another drove a Datsun Fairlady Z 280ZX that became an icon among enthusiasts. The goal within the Midnight Club was simple, is to hit the crazy 0 to 300 km/h first. Since most of their races took place on public streets and highways, the Midnight Club developed a massive underground following, not just in Japan, but around the world, attracting a cult-like fan base that admired their skill and fearlessness. By the mid-90s, the club had around 75 elite members and reached its peak. However, due to the way the matter had turned from a simple gathering of geeks into something more institutional and really big, it began to attract unwanted attention. Their high-speed runs on those streets that were still open to the public quickly attracted the Japanese government to enact new laws to combat illegal races, and the repression began to create problems. In a short period of time, the club found itself with only about 40 members. These remaining members continued to meet every Friday night at a well-known gas station just off the Tomei Expressway, using it as a base to plan their next races. They were frequently spotted coming and going from the infamous Daikoku parking area, always on the lookout for worthy opponents. To organize meetings, one of the leaders would place a small article in a local Tokyo newspaper under the announcements section, usually to avoid attracting unwanted attention from the police. It would look like something very different from an illegal street racing. The text of the announcement would be discussed in the previous meeting, so that the team members could easily find it and meet at the right place at the right time to start racing. This is an example of what an announcement could look like. For sale, small bags at discounted prices. For more information, I am available to meet at the Daikoku parking area on Thursday, between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Thank you. They meet and race each other. When the race is over, everyone would pull into a rest area and stop to chat about the result. Everything was going as planned, until the unexpected happened. As the Midnight Club reached the zenith of its success, motorcycle gangs were widespread, following a Japanese youth subculture born in the mid-70s that had to do with tuned motorcycles and rebellion against the institutions. Members of these gangs were easily recognizable, called Bōsōzoku, usually wore a long jacket down to their feet, often stitched with slogans, drawings, and the Japanese imperial flag. They modified the bodywork of their bikes and removed or modified the exhaust to make as much noise as possible. Unlike the Midnight Club, their main activities were motorcycle rallies, riding dangerously around town, annoying other people, causing trouble, and racing on the highway for the thrill rather than for competition. They were occasionally violent with those who crossed their path, but also with each other, as conflicts between the various gangs were frequent. It seems that there was mutual antipathy between the Bōsōzoku and the drivers of the Midnight Club, because the latter had very powerful cars, capable of overtaking and leaving their motorcycles in the dust. This rivalry had been alive for a long time, to the point that the members of the Midnight Club switched from just the classic bumper sticker to a large one on the windshield, so that the Bōsōzoku in question could immediately understand whose fast car was challenging them. Around 3 a.m. on an unspecified Friday night, a group of Bōsōzoku riders gathered on the Wangan Expressway, ready to challenge the Midnight Club. A high-speed race ensued, which ended up crossing a busy area and culminating in a chain accident that cost the lives of 2 Bōsōzoku and hospitalized 8 others. 6 of these were innocent drivers who happened to be on the highway and were not involved in the race. A simple rule established when the Midnight Club was founded: if for any reason anyone was put in danger or injured due to the group's activities, the Midnight Club would immediately and forever disband. A bit like modern-day samurai who accept the rules of Bushido. And so they did. Following the dissolution of the Midnight Club, there were numerous imitation attempts by other groups of enthusiasts, but none of them ever had the caliber and charisma of the real Midnight Club. Shortly, these groups all disbanded in turn due to the tightening rules of the highway code. Even in London in 2008, there was an attempt to emulate the legendary Midnight Club, reported by the specialized magazine Max Power. However, even if the former drivers of the original club were no longer active in illegal street racing, some of them limited themselves to privately pursuing their passion in more legitimate ways, often through their work in the automotive industry. As previously mentioned, in fact, among the members of the club, there were some official preparers. Among these, a series of sacred monsters in the field of car preparations, whose companies and brands are famous among enthusiasts all over the world. Isami Amemiya of Ariamemiya, Isao Mizoda of Revolve, Masahiro Takahashi of Auto Garage TBK, Masamichi Uwabo of Abflug, and even if not official yet, Smokey Nagata from Top Secret. These figures remain active, carrying on the legacy of high-performance tuning, even though the Midnight Club itself disbanded decades ago. Or perhaps it didn't completely disappear after all. It seems that the Midnight Club was only the tip of iceberg of something else, that under the miserable 11% that emerged from the water, there is a great story, more complex than what is known around, which should have led to the completion of a great project orchestrated by all the major Japanese tuners, who in fact were the souls of the club. Unfortunately, left unfinished due to its premature dissolution. This mysterious project probably had to do with the concept of maximum speed that recurs several times in the Midnight Club. For this reason, it is easy to think that it was connected to the race to 300 kilometers per hour that from the early 80s onwards animated the world of Japanese tuners. During this period, all the major specialists built extreme demo cars with the goal of being the first to reach that speed with a road car. At first, the challenges were held clandestinely on the Tomei Highway, later legally on the Yadabe test track. They were the so-called 0 to 300 kilometers per hour time trials, organized by Daijiro Inada, founder of the specialized magazine Option. In February 1982, the first car to exceed that speed was a De Tomaso Pantera. From that moment on, the race began to be the first to equal the record with a Japanese car. HKS succeeded in December 1983, 2 years after the first time trial, with its HKS Celica M300 driven by Daijiro Inada, based on a Toyota Celica GT, that is the first Celica Supra. Once they exceeded 300 kilometers per hour, the goal became simply maximum speed. The drivers of the Midnight Club were regular participants in these events, with numerous photos showing their meticulously prepared cars as they raced to break records on the banked curves of the track. The Midnight Club used the highways around Tokyo as their own personal testing grounds, in addition to what was offered by the events organized by Option 2 at the Yadabe track. The high-speed runs on the Wangan were the tests for what was then officially certified once on the track. Unfortunately, a few years after the group disbanded, Masa Saito, editor-in-chief of Option 2, died in an accident during one of the time trials. Following this, the track suspended its activities and was left in a state of abandonment until its subsequent demolition. Perhaps if Saito had not died, there would have been much greater growth in the many Japanese preparers and their tuning shops, who would have continued to work to achieve the goal they had set themselves to. However, the search for this elusive and mysterious maximum speed by this group of thunderbolts has never stopped, but has simply moved. Enter Kazuhiko Smokey Nagata, a small, quiet man looking to be in his 40s. He is friendly, has a love of cigarettes, and has a cheeky attitude. You'd never guess he also loves horsepower as much as any street racer, enormous burnouts, and flipping the bird at the law. He was the man behind the most infamous Japanese tuning company called Top Secret. Smokey Nagata is rumored to be a member of the notorious Midnight Club. While many dismiss this claim, a select few know the truth. He was indeed a genuine member of the club, and we'll delve into that later. But first, let's get to know a bit about him. Born in 1964, Smokey Nagata spent his early years in the Japanese prefecture of Hokkaido. This was in a little village surrounded by picturesque countryside and rolling hills. Growing up on farmland, there weren't many cars, but his father owned a truck and was a mechanic, which gave Nagata an early interest in machinery. From a young age, Smokey Nagata discovered his passion for modifying machines, and he began working with small engines at his home. As he reached his teenage years, Nagata acquired a motorbike which further fueled his passion for go-karting. With his home area being farmland, he couldn't drive the cart, so he would take it to the streets of the nearest town. At the age of 15, Smokey Nagata got his first car, and it was a 1970 Mitsubishi Galant GTO. Despite his early passion for cars and growing up with a mechanic father, Nagata ended up breaking the Galant and couldn't fix it. Fortunately, a local Toyota garage boss helped him repair it, sparking a friendship that would shape his future. Unfortunately, Nagata got expelled from school for driving his car at the age of 16, as it was something illegal in Japan. The Toyota boss who helped him fix the car felt remorse for his dismissal. As a result, he offered him a job as a mechanic. Smokey would become the youngest mechanic at Toyota, where he learned advanced automotive engineering principles and the fundamentals of tuning. Hilariously, Smokey got fired after only 4 years for tuning and modifying his Toyota Celica during work hours. Getting fired from Toyota could have been a major setback, but Smokey Nagata didn't let it hold him back. Instead of giving up, he saw it as an opportunity to think bigger. He realized that if he wanted to push the boundaries of tuning and performance, he needed to be where the action was. He needed to be in the heart of Japan's car culture. Tokyo. Determined to follow his passion, Smokey packed his bags and headed to Tokyo, the paradise for car enthusiasts, where the underground racing scene and limitless tuning possibilities awaited him. It was there that his vision for something greater began to take shape. As one door closes, another one opens. Smokey would join Trust in Tokyo. Trust was one of the big aftermarket tuning companies in Japan. It eventually became the parent company of the US-based tuner Greddy before going under. Trust attracted him by having a racing program in the pipeline, something that aligned with his goals. Initially, Smokey was packing mufflers and turbos, but he frequently offered to help out in the racing department to get a deeper understanding of tuning race cars. Over time, Smokey became a tuning genius, and it wasn't long before he began sneaking around the shop, modifying cars and fabricating components for his own personal projects. Under the cover of darkness, Smokey Nagata would take his heavily modified cars out onto the streets of Tokyo, away from the prying eyes of the public and authorities. These late-night runs became his personal testing grounds. Tokyo's highways, with their long stretches and minimal traffic in the early hours, provided the perfect environment to push his machines to their limits. Smokey knew the risk, both legal and mechanical, but his obsession with speed and perfection drove him to constantly test his modifications in real-world conditions. Soon after, Smokey's secret night test caught the attention of his employers at Trust. However, by this time, he had become such a valuable asset to the company that they couldn't afford to fire him. His skills as a tuning genius were integral to their success, and they recognized the potential in his unconventional methods. Rather than firing him, they allowed Smokey to continue his street tests in secret, understanding that his relentless pursuit of speed was driving innovation within the company. This unofficial freedom further fueled Smokey's passion to push over the limits. The newfound freedom to push boundaries in secret became the driving force behind Smokey Nagata's next big move. His covert street tests not only refined his tuning expertise, but also sparked the idea for his own company. He named it Top Secret, a fitting title for a business born out of secrecy. But what secrets exactly? According to most sources online, Smokey Nagata's Top Secret is simply a Japanese automobile tuner and parts manufacturer, offering a wide range of products including aero kits, engine components, exhaust systems, and suspension upgrades. However, what many fail to realize is that Top Secret wasn't just a typical tuning company, it was actually a secretive street racing club. While the public saw it as a legitimate business, Smokey and his inner circle were quietly pushing the boundaries of speed and performance on the streets, living up to the secret in the company's name in ways that few truly understood. Inside Top Secret, Smokey Nagata was known for pushing cars to their absolute limits. He would modify them in extreme ways, aiming to achieve mind-blowing speeds, and then take them to the Wangen for high-speed runs. His obsession with reaching maximum speed mirrored the main objective of the Midnight Club. If you recall, their primary goal was to be the fastest on the road, and not just any road, but specifically the Wangen, as they dominated this long highway. Smokey's relentless pursuit of speed and perfection aligned perfectly with the ethos of the Midnight Club, further fueling the rumors of his deep connection to this notorious group of street racers. Top Secret was initiated by Smokey in 1991, at the same time when the Midnight Club was at its peak. At the heart of the club, the most important Midnight members were the ones who owned the tuning industry. They were the ones who did the heavy tuning of the members' cars while keeping their work hidden from the public eye. Smokey, understanding the risks associated with street racing, kept Top Secret under wraps to protect it from being associated with the illicit activities of the Midnight Club. Very few outside the circle of the club knew about Top Secret, allowing Smokey to pursue his passion for speed while safeguarding the future of his business from the scrutiny of law enforcement and the public. Therefore, during that time, almost no one knew about Top Secret yet. Apart from the tuning works, Smokey Nagata was also a skilled underground driver who took his modified cars to the highways for exhilarating high-speed runs. His passion for performance extended beyond the workshop, as he would push his vehicles to their limits under the cover of night. It was during these adrenaline-fueled adventures that he earned his infamous nickname, Smokey, where he would do massive burnouts to prepare his tires for those high-speed runs. The billowing clouds of smoke that followed him became a signature part of his identity. As law enforcement cracked down on illegal street racing and the Midnight Club disbanded following the tragic Bōsōzoku incident, many in the racing community chose to walk away from the scene. However, Smokey Nagata refused to give up. For him, the pursuit of maximum speed was more than just a thrill. It was a legacy that needed to continue. Smokey committed himself to keep the dream alive, channeling his passion into Top Secret and pushing the boundaries of performance in both the workshop and on the streets. But there was one major problem. No one knew about Top Secret. He needed to transform his company from a hidden gem into a globally recognized name. Smokey knew he had to devise a strategy that would elevate its profile. Determined to put Top Secret on the global map, Smokey built himself the GT300 Supra, where he put a Godzilla engine into a Supra, and with the help of Max Power magazine, took it to the UK in 1998 and attempted a 200 miles per hour run on the A1M public highway. Unfortunately, he didn't hit his target due to problems like the engine running lean, the air-to-fuel mixture was too light, the hood almost getting blown off around the 190 miles per hour mark, and rain. Still, Smokey Nagata's Supra impressed many with a 197 miles per hour run, setting the fastest speed for a car record on a UK public highway. Being illegal, he got arrested and jailed at Her Majesty's pleasure. Nagata got released the next day but received a 10-year ban from the UK, a 1-month international license suspension ban, a £155 fine, and £35 court fee charges. Nevertheless, upon returning home, Smokey's daring attempt became the talk of the world. Smokey and Top Secret would become a global phenomenon among car enthusiasts all over the world. From that moment, the goal for Smokey became crystal clear: break the records every single day. Smokey Nagata began to create a massive collection of heavily modified cars. A recognizable feature of many Top Secret tuned cars are their gold paint schemes. Only cars that Nagata deemed to be the best and most accomplished projects that represent the epitome of the Top Secret tuning philosophy receive this special gold paint scheme. This approach was an inspiration from the coveted silver sticker of the Midnight Club. Just as the club awarded their coveted silver Midnight Car Special stickers to the best drivers, Smokey's gold paint schemes became a badge of honor for the top-tier vehicles in the Top Secret lineup. To this day, Smokey Nagata never admitted but not even denied having been part of the Midnight Club. However, his relationship with the current head of GTR at Nissan, Hiroshi Tamura, paints a different picture. Tamura owns a heavily modified R32 GTR that was tuned many times by Smokey's Top Secret. Only a few years ago, he was interviewed with his car, which sported a not particularly discreet Midnight Car Special sticker on the front bumper. Tamura never admits being part of the Midnight Club for obvious reasons relevant to corporate life. Yet the Midnight Club sticker on his R32 tells another story. In Houston in 2010, during the Import Reactor Fair, Nagata was explicitly asked if he had been a member of the Midnight Club, but he skipped the question, which seems to confirm the suspicions. Abflug instead created the brand Midnight International, whose writing is identical to that of the club's stickers, further proof that its founder was a member. In any case, almost all of the ex-pilots have maintained their confidentiality until today and refuse to talk about the club or even name it. After all, everyone knows. First rule of Fight Club: never talk about Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club: you must never talk about Fight Club.